you'll start realizing there's only one thing in your entire reality that cannot come and go. And it's you. And it's never come and gone. It's you. We all have these experiences. And it's like, if you don't stop and see this experience and see that you did this, you had your back, and you always have had your back, and you'll never not have your back. You just start seeing the awe of, holy cow, look how many times I should have stopped. My story should have been over with, and it wasn't. I was in the right place at the right time, or the right person was in the right place at the right time. How many times has that happened to us in our lives? And at some point, you just can't say coincidence anymore. You have to realize there's something much bigger going on here.
Hey there, everybody. So today I'm super excited to introduce to you Kristen Clark. And Kristen, she's not your average coach or your average speaker. Kristen's one of those people who just radiates this contagious energy. And as you listen into today's podcast, you're going to experience that, you're going to hear that, you're going to feel that energy. And so Kristen's story, it starts back in 2020 when our world got flipped upside down. She lost her house. Her business shut down during the pandemic, and she found herself at a real crossroads. And instead of crumbling under all those circumstances, all those events, Kristen did something that most people would never dare to do. She got rid of 98% of her stuff, and she hit the road. She hit the road with her dog, some camping gear, and a suitcase. And now she's all about what she calls easy, fun energy. And she's helping people stop trying to fix themselves and start celebrating who they really are at the core. So I can't wait to dig into Kristen's story today and just pull out some real world wisdom that you can actually use. Ready to go? We got the secret sauce. You're going to bring the secret sauce, right? Bring it.
I am the secret sauce. I don't bring anything.
Love it. What brings you onto this show? Kristen, do you have a breakdown moment? Do you got a breakthrough moment? What's going on here?
You know, every single morning I have a breakthrough moment. And it's those original thought moments that are unique to you. Original thought is nobody's ever thought this before. And it kind of stops you. And I call them break your brain moments. You know, they make you go, whoa. And they just, call it an epiphany, call it an aha, whatever you want. It came from you, through you. And those are your messages. Those are, even if it's just for that day, you stop, you write it down. And so like this morning's was, I've got my handy dandy book that's full of them. Stop trying to find yourself. Decide who you are, and then let the world adjust accordingly. And that was this morning's. And yes, we've heard variations of that. We've heard different versions of that. But the one that comes through you that you've never heard anybody say before is the one that's meant for you. And we talk about original thought, but it comes from the original being. And the original being, if you want to know my biggest breakthrough, my absolute biggest breakthrough that I bring into every single podcast, no matter what the niche is, do you have any memory of not existing?
Do you have any memory of not existing? Break that down. What do you mean by that?
It's not complicated. What do you mean? What do I mean by it? It's not complicated. See, now, the part of you that's going, oh God, how do I answer this? That's the backstories. That's the things your mother, father, whoever taught you. Wipe all that clean and make it as simple as possible. Do you have any memory of not existing?
As I recollect, no, I exist.
Very good. Oh my God, beautiful. When you take something absolutely simple and you use that as okay, there it is. You're removing all the complication that gets in the way of the original thought coming through. So if you have never, ever not existed, what does that do to everything you've been taught, such as there's a death, there's time, there's, there's not that there's any right answer or wrong answer. There's just your answer. Because if you've never not existed, that means everything that has come in and interacted with you, be it beliefs or feelings or people or ideas or whatever. And then eventually they do go, even if it's just temporarily, they do go, and then they come in and they go. You'll start realizing there's only one thing in your entire reality that cannot come and go. And it's you. And it's never come and gone. It's you. And the coolest thing is this. You can imagine anything. I mean, my gosh, anything. You can imagine anything, but you cannot imagine not existing. That's an absolute impossibility. And so here's this one amazing, humongous, enormous thing in your reality that we didn't see. And yet it's the biggest dang thing. And yet it's like, don't look there. Don't look there. Look over here. Squirrels, sparkly things over here. Don't look there. And yet when you do take the time to, maybe I should focus on this one thing that is always present, can't be gone, doesn't stop. What's in there? That's where your whole world, just inside, outside world, just it's a whole new world. It's like you left this planet and went to a new one, because it's a whole different reality with different rules and different worries, fears, things like that. It's completely in your control, but it's way more than that.
This perspective here, did you always have this perspective, or did it start somewhere along your journey?
That was along the journey. I had, when I've had people ask me, when did that happen?
Was it back in 2020? Was it around that time, Kristen, or was it sometime before?
It was, I would say had to be around 2012. I had a near-death experience. I've had 3. And each one showed me that there is no death. There is no stopping. There's no, again, close the book and roll the credits. There's nothing like that. You continue to go on. But what it did show me is that you get what you expect. And so if you expect heaven and hell, you'll have that experience, but you're not going to stop there. You keep going on and on. And for me, I never considered heaven or hell or anything like that. I was just, death is interesting. I wonder what's down there. I don't believe there's a white light. I wonder what's down there. So I had that experience. And then in 2012, I did have another experience where I drowned. And as I was in the process of drowning and there was no hope of being resuscitated or coming back, I thought, no, this can't happen. I have a son. I can't do this. And with that, I popped right out of the water. There was a surfer there, got me in. And it wasn't like, everything stopped, whole new world starts, No, Kristen Clark just kept going. And I got my son and I went home and I made him dinner, and I was still shook. I was still going, oh my God. But I didn't stop, right? And then when I had my third near-death, and it's not a near-death experience, this was death. I drove off a cliff. But in the next instant, when reality glitched and I was down the road, I had not gone over the cliff, I was down the road and sitting there going, what happened? Understanding that here it happened again, and I didn't stop.
When was this? When was this event right here? Just to give us some
2017.
2017. Okay.
Yeah. So, and at that time, I had already been contemplating the question, do I have any memory of not existing? And no. Now, I believe Buddhism very much goes here too. They very much go into, you are the one thing in life that doesn't come and go. I know they word it differently, but Do you know who Adyashanti is?
No.
He's like a big Buddhist teacher. I would say it was around 2012. I probably heard him saying something similar along this line, and it got me thinking about this. And yes, I definitely experienced death. I experienced my mother. I have a memory, and that's a whole different ball game down there, of seeing my mother die. But now I understand I'm just manifesting that memory to support a state I'm playing in right now.
Yeah.
So it's a huge world. It's a huge wonderland here, Alice. But it's a blast and it's a kick, and it really frees me from so much that I've been in before, which is, the worry of the world and circumstances, and letting circumstances get in the way of my convictions, and deciding I'm not playing that game anymore, and then watching how my world changes from just that decision.
It's very different. Yeah. Just like kind of feeling your energy, just observing it is a very like easy, fun type of energy. And I know that you
Thank you.
shared a couple that, yeah, just observation. And so just listening to that, it sounds like you had a lot of different like experiences, like near death experiences that change your perspective along the way. And I was reading your bio, and you do a lot of coaching now. You do coaching and you do speaking, and then you talk about your journey back in 2020 when things kind of fell apart, when things changed. Can we start there? Can you share what was going on in your world in 2020?
So in 2020, when everything shut down, and my business shut down, the house I was in got sold, I found myself just floating, just going, okay, I've got nowhere to live. I've got no business. And it felt as if all the doors were closing. Everything was closing around me. And the only door that was open was a go door. And I can't even explain what happened, but I had a dream that I was nomading. And everybody wants to go nomad, go travel around and see the world and live in camping sites or whatever. We all are like, oh, that would be so great. Yeah. But I thought the same thing. And it was just fascinating that is exactly what opened up for me. And there was no thinking, oh, I don't have the money to do this. There was none of that occurred. I got rid of 98% of my belongings. I packed up my dog, a suitcase, my sleeping bag, and my Subaru, and we left. And we did the Western U.S. So all those amazing national parks. And
Before
the cool
we
thing was,
before we do that, before we
yeah,
dive into it, I have a question for you. So you said,
yes,
because I want to hear this story, but you said that because getting rid of you said 98%
98% of my belongings. Yes.
for a normal person, that's huge. That's very difficult to do. So what did you do? Did you have to like shift your mindset around that, or did you what was the process like to get rid of all that?
There was no process. This is where I'm going. This is what I have to do. And what I had to do was just, whether it was throwing it away, giving it to the local Goodwill, thrift stores, whatever, it was just, it was an unbelievable unloading. And it wasn't hard for me. Some people be like, oh, yeah, this is nostalgia. Yeah. And for me, it was not hard. In fact, to this day, I still have like, God, I wish I hadn't gotten rid of that. But it's not a big deal. It's not going to make or break me. But there was this, when you unload like that, yes, there is a panicking part of you that's just like, this is an identity, right? This thing is an identity. But then you realize this does not define me. This is not, it's as if, if you were to suddenly have amnesia and you couldn't remember anything before today, anything, your family, your history, anything about Edmund, would that make you any less Edmund?
No.
No. It's still, yeah, exactly. And that's what I learned when I got rid of all that. It was just like, I'm still me. I'm still me. I got my Subaru, so I'm still me. And when I hit the road, I was terrified. I was elated. I was, there was every emotion creating a combination of a new emotion. And it was scary as hell. It was scary as hell. I spent a year scared as hell, but also just, it doesn't matter how scared you are. It doesn't matter how powerful you are, how bold you are. It doesn't matter any of that stuff because you're still you. And so for me, this was during when everybody was locked down.
When was it? What part of 2020 was it? Was it an online business or was it like a physical business that you got rid of?
I just shelved the business. I didn't really get rid of it. But at the time, the physical businesses I was doing is I was teaching fitness and I was doing landscaping, and those all shut down.
Yeah, that was like by March. It was like in March it started like
everything. And up here in these mountains, it was really locked down. And it wasn't like I had a ton of money, but I just went and I did it and I had fun and I got to see national parks that were closed, but you could still drive through without any people being around. So there was no food and there was no, camping sites or anything like that. They were all on the outside, but you could still go through and see it. I mean, this is it can't stop you from seeing the world. And well, though I did want to go up to Canada and I couldn't go there.
I mean, if I recall correctly, during that period of time in 2020, because you packed up everything and you were already on the road by July, you said,
July
right?
1st. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything was still pretty empty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 But the most interesting thing was this. I was not available for COVID. I was not available for the fear, the masks. I just was like, I couldn't see it. I couldn't understand it. And for me, the symbolism of masks was, ultimate fear, ultimate covering, hiding behind, being so afraid that something invisible was going to kill you. And at that point, I knew I couldn't die. So I was like, I just got to get away from this. So, and I didn't know that's what I was thinking at the time, but I ended up I didn't even know how I ended up in South Dakota, but yeah, I'm just driving and here's welcome to South Dakota. I'm like, holy cow, how did I get to South Dakota? But I mean, there were so many towns and so many amazing things where nobody was wearing masks. Nobody was talking about COVID. COVID, that whole thing just didn't even exist. And knowing that, number one, because that was what I wanted, that's what I created. But, seeing Devil's Post or Devil's Tower, from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, it's out in the middle of Nowheresville, Flatsville. And there's this enormous thing I don't even know how many stories tall that thing is. And yeah, you want to talk about a whole different world. It is so surreal. And the energy of that area, it's just like, and I got to camp at the bottom of it, just live there for a little bit.
You camped there at the bottom of the Devil's Tower?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something, there were so many things I saw and I'm like, that's one of those things that every single human being on the face of the earth has got to see before they die. They have a lot of theories about what it is. And nowadays, I think we're right on track with what it is. But it's, of course, the Native American people there have their own, thing about it and spirituality and all of that. But even if you're not spiritual in any way, shape, or form, you cannot be in the presence of that and not suddenly be spiritual. When you're standing at the base of something that enormous and you're this tiny little dot at the bottom looking up at this thing, and I mean it's flat. Now there are people who do climb it, professional climbers who can climb it, but they have to get all sorts of permission and stuff. And it's you can walk around the base.
Yep.
And that takes a little while. That's quick because it's huge. It's about 3 mile around all the way around. And now going back to the whole trip itself, interacting with the fear and the unknown. Oh my God, you talk about being nose to nose with the unknown on a scale that would take the toughest person in the world and just not see how much stuffing you got inside of you, because you at all times, for me, I was in the unknown. I didn't know where I was. Like I said, South Dakota, hell, what the hell? I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know where my next camping spot was. I didn't know if I had money. There was so much happening, and it's in the middle of all of that. They had another quarantine, and a job that I was supposed to have fell through in helping with river rafting fell through. So now all of a sudden I really was like, oh my God, I'm in the middle of freaking Montana and I don't know what I'm going to do, where I'm going to get money. And I kept going back to Bob Proctor's saying of, uh, both faith and fear require you to believe in something you cannot see. You choose. And I mean, that was my mantra the whole time, especially when I was in the biggest and deepest and darkest fear. Um, and but it didn't end, right? I didn't starve. I always had gas in my car. I have no idea how, but I always had gas in my car. I had the adventure that I wanted, and I had the experience, and I came back, and you go on. Again, they don't roll the credits. You keep going on. And life is just this. Life is, you have these giant breakthroughs or breakdowns, as you said, which was so well said, by the way. And yet you don't stop. You don't stop. Whether it's your car breaking down out in the middle of nowhere and somebody just happens to go by when there's no rhyme or reason why anybody should be there. We all have these experiences. And it's like, if you don't stop and see this experience and see that you did this, you had your back, and you always have had your back, and you'll never not have your back. You just start seeing the awe of, holy cow, look how many times I should have stopped. My story should have been over with, and it wasn't. I was in the right place at the right time, or the right person was in the right place at the right time. How many times has that happened to us in our lives? And at some point, you just can't say coincidence anymore. You have to realize there's something much bigger going on here.
When you took that trip in 2020 and you traveled for, how long did you travel for, Kristen?
I traveled, the biggest part of the travel was actually only 30 days, but it was actually a year.
A year.
It was a year.
So, Kristen, for people listening in and maybe they're going through a situation where they are losing something. It could be a loved one, it could be a pet. Maybe it's just a change in circumstances, a job or something like that, or business.
Scary.
So what can they do? What can they do to be able to shift? Maybe it's a mindset shift, or maybe it's something that they're shifting internally so they can move out of that state and into something where they can maybe celebrate, like they can celebrate who they are, that situation.
Yeah. I think one thing I've learned through all these years of the metaphysical is the minute you just let go of all that, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? How? Your body heals you naturally. You get a cut, your body takes care of it. You don't have to do anything except maybe, a little Neosporin and a Band-Aid. Or if you break a bone, you need a doctor set it, but you still heal it, right? You are no different when it comes to the breakdowns, the traumas, your history. Your body heals you just fine. It takes care of you just fine. You don't need to go digging around and where, how, what. You don't need to do that. You don't. There's so much magic in your scars. There's so much magic in your scars. Growth, strength, things you've learned, whether it's outside or inside. There's so much. And when we're going through something rough and every part of us is like, run away. I get away from this. Get away. That's when you go, I've been through a lot worse than this. And I've always made it out the other side. It's that, I think Tom Hanks said it best, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. You know, you always, always have, and you always, always will get to the other side.
I love that you said that. You know, we always get to the other side. And I know I've looked at my own life. Even in my own life, it's like there's been times where it's like it just down in the dumps. It just looks like things are in the right. It's like boom.
And you're digging.
But the magical thing is, whenever I look at any circumstance, any event in the past, and I look at like when it's like the lowest of lows, what always follows?
The highest of highs, the highest of highs. And we're so addicted to that. Oh, we love that. I love roller coasters. So the bigger, but I think it's Dara Bashar. He talks about the lows are, like a slingshot being pulled back. So the lower you are, the further back that slingshot's being pulled. And you're going to launch, man. You are going to launch. And we do. And it's, it's like if you can zoom out and look at your lifeline and look at all those times you hit rock bottom and you were digging. And it's just like, how many times have you not only come back just fine, but you've come back so much better and so much bigger and so much stronger and so much more confident. And, that doesn't mean we like them. It doesn't mean we want them. Okay, so this is something I say in a lot of the podcasts. And I got it from I don't know, another Buddhist guy. And he was saying that in every moment right now, we always talk about the now. The now is fresh. It's brand new. So in this moment right now, you've never had this experience. I've never had this experience. And in the next one, I'm going to have another one, brand new. Different lighting, different time of the day, different conversation, different thoughts. In every single moment of your life, you're brand new. You're fresh. And so I tweak that. To I am brand new, not the now. The now is synonymous with me, hence the metaphysical that I work with. But the now is synonymous with me. Me is fresh in every moment. Me is brand new in each moment I go forward. And that me is nose to nose with the unknown. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't flinch at all. She's just like, whatever, this is normal. This is mundane. This is ho-hum. It's no big deal. She has no problem walking around the corner and going here or going there. And I think that nomad trip I took really brought this home, that no matter what, you're always okay. You're always okay. I had one moment. I had so many unbelievable, amazing, right place, right time situations. So many. It just is unbelievable. But I did have one moment where I was in my tent and I never had a panic attack before. I didn't know what one was.
You're in your tent. Where were you located at?
I was somewhere in the middle of Idaho.
You're in middle Idaho.
In a campground. In Idaho, yeah. And I was just having a full-on panic attack. And I couldn't breathe. And I, unzipped my tent. I crawled out. I puked. I was just like, I was a mess. I was in a state of, oh my God, I have no money. This job fell through. Where am I going to go? I don't know. And yet the next day, this sheriff goes by. He and I start chatting and talking. I kind of tell him what's going on. And he goes, well, do you have any gas in your tank? And I said, no. And he goes, follow me. And he fills my tank. Where'd that happen from, right? Yeah. And then my sister reached out to me and she's like, what's going on? How are you doing? I feel like there's a problem. And I'm like, there's a big problem, mama. And she's like, you got $1,000 in your account right now. Yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff happens all the time, and yet we don't see it. We don't see it. We can miss it, right? We're just like, oh, that's normal. That's nothing. But when we start tweaking our vision and start seeing those things, you're in the space of, I can't make money. And yet you just found a quarter on the ground. And if you can be like, see, money follows me, or somebody drives by in a Mercedes Benz, and you can let that be evidence that richness is all around you and it's coming to you. That Mercedes didn't have to go by you. You didn't have to look up at the right time to see that, but you did. And when we can really start finding the places where some of the things we tell ourselves, like I can't make money or I'm old or whatever, are a lie, your reality, your world rushes to support it more and more, and a lot more.
So what's another way that a person can shift those inner conversations inside?
Depends on, what you love, what you like. I'm a big science nerd. And so one of the things I absolutely love is knowing that in this room that I'm in right now, there are hundreds of radio signals, right? Frequencies, radio signals. And all you have to do, or TV signals, whatever you want to do, but all you have to do is hit a button on your radio and it tunes itself to just one of those hundreds. And now it can play the music you want. It's super simple. Push a button. You're the same way, right? You think you're not picking up on all those frequencies, all those radio stations flying around, but it's not just those frequencies. It's all the other hundreds of other frequencies that are all around you. And all you have to do is pay attention to what you're thinking. Pay attention to those inner conversations and ask yourself, do you really want to think that? Do you really want to believe that? Okay, so I was in a podcast with a guy and he kept saying, all these people, blah, 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 all these people, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like going, where are all these people? It's just you and me here. Where are all these people you keep getting distracted by? And so when we're playing this game of, oh, there's all these people that are sick. Oh, there's all these people that are angry. Oh, men, blah, blah, blah. Or women, blah, blah, blah. These blanket statements. To stop and go, where? That's not here right now. That's not happening right now.
It's not your reality.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not tuning into that radio wave.
Yes, not available for it. I'm not available for that. That's important. You just have to start paying attention to what frequencies, what TV station are you watching? And why the heck would you watch that? Because it's not real. It's not happening. The only thing that's real is what's right here in this fresh now moment. All you have to do is make the decision that that's not my world anymore. And you literally shift reality. So I was saying earlier, I'm a science nut, but I'm a science nut in shifting realities. To shift a reality is as easy as pushing the button on your radio or pushing the button on your TV. So here's a good example. I had been, and don't laugh because it's a thing. I had an addiction, but to ice cream. I mean, I didn't know this was possible, but I could not stop. I would go out of my way. If there was no ice cream around, I would get in my car and drive tens of miles away just to have this fix. And it had to be every single day. And at first it was like, there's no way. There's no way. I'm not a day. I can stop this anytime I want. Yeah, no. Every day at 1 o'clock, all of a sudden had to. I had to have this. I have no idea why this happened. I don't know. But I tried every hoop and hack I knew to stop this. I'd never had an addiction before to anything. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I nothing. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to shift to the reality where Kristen hates ice cream. And I wasn't even a decision like I'm going to. It was like, who is Kristen who hates ice cream? Who can't? I had to literally get rid of the Kristen who was addicted to ice cream. I had to erase her from existence and insert in Kristen who hates ice cream. Ice cream makes me nauseous. And boom, that was it. That was all it took. And I didn't try to do that. I just had this thought of, oh, maybe I'll do that. I wonder if that would work. I'll think about it later. And I just kind of imagined the Kristen who hated ice cream. And then that was it. That was all it was. And that's a shift in reality because now I can't, it's, no. And so that's what we're capable of is literally shifting to no matter how airy-fairy you want to go into that and go into multiverses or anything like that, or you want to look at it more scientifically, the ability to shift your reality is 100% doable. And I think if I really tried to do that, if I tried to make it a process, like this is the technique, this is what's going to fix me, it wouldn't have worked. But because I just was kind of like, oh yeah, what about shifting realities? Quantum leap, whatever we want to call it. Huh. Oh, I can imagine a Kristen hates ice cream. Ooh, that makes her sick. She just can't even do it. That'd be cool.
It just sounds like you're kind of detached to the outcome regardless, and so you're not really like strongly tied to it or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I was pretty desperate to stop this because I was so unable to control the situation, and that is not me. I don't like that. And it was a year. It took a year until that thought just came in. It was like, damn, I wish I knew this thought a year ago. But and people are going to be like, how'd you do that? Right? How? We want the how. We want the bullet point list. And it's like, again, it was like you said, that detachment of, and it's so hard for us to detach. We still want the outcome that we desire, and that's totally cool. You're allowed to want. You're allowed to desire. And even I would say honor it and let it be a holy place. But don't let it define you. Don't let it be bigger than you. I think that that's a big thing, like you said, that you learn how to detach from the outcome through that. Because the outcome's going to happen. May not be exactly the way you imagined it because it's always better. You always come out better than you thought you were.
That's something that I'm getting new perspectives on even today. It's just like, oh, hey, it's just like as people, we kind of, a lot of times we get attached to like, we want a certain outcome or we see something as good and something as bad. And so it's like when we have this, like when we see when we're so set on like, okay, this is good, this is good. Or it's like, I want it this way. Or it's like, I want things to be positive. And then like things in our environment, they don't really live up to it. It's like, then it kind of like brings us the other way, right? The other way, we're so positive, we're so good. It's all about the good, but then we get pulled to the other way versus like if we just kind of embraced it.
Well, embraced it all. When things go bad, going, oh, I did that too. Look how badass I am. Oh my gosh. I was worried that was going to happen. And it happened. Dang, I can manifest like a mofo. Man. But to see that every single little thing happening out there is you in your wow. Yeah, that's the place to play. It's so much fun. I call it the C. And I said it earlier. See, money's following me. See, I am visible. See, I am successful. I am, whatever's underneath that. Because the majority of what we want underneath our desires is freedom. And so when you see that you are free, even if it's like, I can put coffee, creamer in my coffee if I want to, even if it's just that freedom, it's still to be able to say, see, I'm free right now. I can drink this coffee or not. Just that tiniest little tweak right there, just that. You start seeing it everywhere. And then the big C's start coming in, the big ones.
So, Kristen, I'm looking at my notes here. I see you have this quote here. It's a very unique quote. And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about it. But it's when you detect don't be afraid. Be the dragon.
Be the dragon.
What does that mean? What does being the dragon actually look like in real life?
When you detect toxicity, or the invitation to shrink yourself down to what their need is, don't do it. Don't be afraid. Be the dragon. The dragon is the aspect of you that it can still be afraid, but it doesn't stop. It's the part of you that is right by your side 24/7. It's where your original thought, it's the original being that comes through. It is the one that knows it's going to rock the boat, but in a good way. So back in 2012, I started channeling. I was channeling. And I was like Abraham Hicks and all of that. I was channeling. And unbeknownst to me, I started channeling the dragon consciousness, Iram. I thought I was going to get fairies or angels or something. I got the dragon. And the dragon there was this energy of just enormity. And there was no room for doubt or fear or worries. Or if there was worries, it didn't matter because the dragon energy was just plowing forward regardless. And I could answer anything without worry. Me, I'm like, what if somebody asks about this or that? I don't know the answer to that. But when I'm in that channeling state, it was like, bring it. Bring whatever questions you want. I'll answer you. And there was one point where the dragon consciousness told me, you're not channeling, right? You understand we don't even exist. And I was like, no, I need you. You have all the answers. And it's like, no, we're just a permission slip for you to access your wisdom, your own dragon. And the funny thing is later that day, my friend told me the exact same thing. He goes, you're not channeling, right? And so that was like my biggest beings, just calling my bluff. I know. And, so in that moment, I had one of two options. I could stand by Kristen, the Kristen who this is her wisdom, and believe in her ability to do this, or I could stick with the dog and pony show. And there's no way I couldn't do the dog and pony show. And to take, do you know who Abraham Hicks is?
Yeah.
Okay. So I always bring this up. I'm like, can you imagine if Esther just suddenly said, I'm not going to channel Abraham anymore. It's just going to be me. Yeah, people don't like that. It's very subjective. What is the dragon? It's each person, but you can feel the strength. You can feel the bigness, the enormity within it. And so I had a podcast where the guy was a psychiatrist and he kept trying to shrink me. Shrink in both aspects of the word here. Because, he's just like, why do you think you talk the way you do? What happened in your childhood? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like going, do you like walking backwards? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, just answer my question. Do you like walking backwards? He's, no. And I'm like, yeah, you're going to end up on your ass sooner or later, right? And I'm like, that's what you're doing here. You're getting me to try to look backwards, but that's not where that I don't enjoy walking backwards. I love the expansion of what's in front of me, the enormity, the unsurety of what's in front of me. And so that was the invitation to shrink myself down to what his need was. And I wouldn't do it. I just stood there. And it's my constant invitation to come up to my level because I'm never going to come down to yours. And, and when I have a podcast host that's constantly going, yeah, but, I'm like, I start imitating him. Yeah, but. Give it. And the guy the other day, he was just like, he kept yeah butting. And I'm like, stop with the yeah buts. And then he was like, all the people. And I said, where are these people? And he goes, it's the butt people. It's the butt people, the yeah butt people. And it's just you standing in your enormity. And we want parameters. We want a pretty little box to stand in. And that's not the dragon. The dragon's not going to give you a bullet point list. The dragon's not going to play in positivity and high vibrations. The dragon's going to show you that it can get angry and it doesn't make it less of a god. So that's the energy. And like I said, if you were to forget everything about yourself, it doesn't make you any less of who you are. You could be murderous, horrible, depressive, whatever. The sun's still going to rise for you. You did that.
How can a person embrace more of that?
Well, to remember, I am a reflection of you. You created me. And so there's a part of you that this is. And you get to be here or you don't. And it's again, it's those see, I am a happy person. See, I am an excited person. I don't try to be this way. But, there was a time where I didn't allow the dragon to, don't rock the boat. Don't say those things. I let circumstances distract me. I let circumstances make me believe they were real. I always tell people my world is alive. And it loves to come out and play. It loves to. It takes you by the hand and goes, come on, come play. And so that's where the playful energy comes from, it's just such a kick to let yourself be a little kid, to let yourself believe in everything you've always known to be true. But I don't know, grandmother, said this wasn't, or you believe somewhere someone said that wasn't true. And, hide that. And now you're saying, no, you can't hide this. You can't dim the sun.
So a person, let me get this straight. So a person can be playing in any moment in time. They could be in a podcast like this. They could be in their room hanging out, or they don't have to be out and about and riding a bike or, surfing some waves or out on that lake behind you on that little portrait there. They don't have to be doing any of that. That's it.
No. None of it makes you more of a god or less of a god. I mean, that's actually the lake right over there. That way. And I mean, but if you want to play in that, what I call a sandbox, you can't. It doesn't, again, it's not going to make you less of a god. These people are just like, oh, you must get outside and walk and breathe the fresh air. And now you will, I don't know, have some kind of enlightened, I don't know, whatever. But the thing is here it is again, these enlightened, aha, epiphanic moments. They come in, interact with you, and they go. But you still remain. You're still here. And you always will be. Trust me on that one. Yeah, I get people that are just like, oh, I have past life regression. During my past life regression, I saw this and this. I'm like, yeah, but did you stop existing during that past life regression? What was the root? Where was it being seen from? Who was it being seen from? Who was experiencing this past life regression? Always you. It's always you. You can't get away from you. Even if you're like, oh, I'm just a consciousness. My body is gone and I'm just a consciousness. And it's like, yeah, who's seeing this consciousness? Who is observing this entire movie? Always you. Always.
Some listeners will get that. And
some won't. Yeah, some won't. And some are going to go, oh my God. And I had one podcast host asked me, she goes, what do you do with those people? I'm like, tuck them back into bed. Because I was one of those people once. And it was like, I don't get that. And it's like, okay, tuck them back into bed. I'll be over here making pancakes when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready to get up. And yeah, it's like I think it's like Abraham or somebody uses the analogy of seeds being planted, and they'll sprout when it sprouts. And that's one of the biggest things, is to trust when you're like, I got to figure this out. I got to understand this. No, it's going to sprout when it sprouts. Let it go. Just let it be a seed for now. Now, knowing that you don't stop existing, that you have no memory of this body not even existing. Now, what's in front of you when you're like, oh, I'm going to get old, or, oh, this is going to happen, or this is going to happen, oh, at 50 years old, I'm going to have this happen. It's like, really? Do you want to change that? Do you want to maybe shift that thought? Do you maybe want to create something different for you? It really opens up a lot for you. And I'm big about, I want proof, I used to be very airy-fairy. You could tell me about fairies or unicorns or aliens, and I was like, la, 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 okay. Now I want proof. If anything big happened in 2020, I'd say that was a big one. I want proof. I want proof. I want palpable, see it, touch it, feel it, proof of what you're saying. And this whole you don't stop existing, there's the biggest proof right there, because you have no memory of not existing. And if nobody had ever told you about death or anything like that, you never, ever, ever were exposed to that. And the only thing you have exposure to is, I'm always here. I'm always here. All these other things come and go, but I've never come and gone. I wonder how much different we would think and play. And yeah, I mean, it is definitive proof right there.
So Kristen, with what's going on right now, so what are you celebrating in life right now? You look like you're celebrating a lot. And so what are you celebrating in life right now? And where can our listeners connect with you to get some of this, like this fun energy, this easy, fun energy?
My website, you can always connect with me there. You can always connect with me anywhere on Facebook or Instagram. I love connection. I don't give a rat's patootie about likes or numbers, but I want connection.
Awesome. So what's the website that people can connect with you at?
Clark-Kristen.com. Super easy. And honestly, if you put in Kristen MF Clark, because there's too many Kristen Clarks out there, but there's only one Kristen MF. And yes, it means what you think it means. Clark. Clark, you'll find me anywhere. It'll always lead to me.
And when you go to the website here, I got to pull it up. You'll see, it'll say Kristen Clark in pink, hot pink. And then you'll see your smiley face right there.
There's me. And that, I love it. I love it. The more people I can work with, the more people I interact with, the more people that are like, oh, this is fun. Let's play there for, an hour or whatever. Oh, the better. Yeah. And I have upcoming virtual performances.
Virtual performance. What's a virtual performance, Kristen?
It's a fancy word for webinar.
Webinar. Okay.
Your webinar. Now, I think webinar sounds very work-like. It sounds like the bullet point lists. And virtual performance is just me in dynamic interaction with the audience. Yeah. It's like, let's talk. I want to hear your epiphanies. I want to hear your bigness. Yeah. I have very much one guy called it the boss lady energy. And I love that. I was like, but let's take it up to CEO energy.
So when a person joins you on these virtual performances, and you do other stuff as well, do you do one-on-ones as well, or just you do mainly the group?
I do. I'll do mentorships if somebody wants that. Absolutely. And, it's funny because on my website, I have Drax, and Drax is my AI. And you could ask Drax anything. Drax never missed a beat.
Thank you so much. And for those, definitely check out Kristen on her website, clark-kristen.com. And then make sure you play with Drax. Drax is the bot. You'll find it on the bottom right-hand corner. Then you can play and experience.
Oh my God, he's so much fun. He'll take you where I've gone and even bigger.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Edmund. This was a blast. This was the best one yet.